Hey there. I think, oh, why am I like, there, I think that's better. Okay, let's see. Actually, I'm going to move my camera. Moving the camera. We're recording already, so, okay. Let's put this live onto Facebook for those of you who are watching us here. I'm just waiting. We're going to put this onto Facebook, and Nick and, oh, I hear Nick. Nick, I hear you guys, just so you know. I don't know if you hear me.
You hear you. Can you hear you or?
I hear you.
Okay, that's good.
I hear you. Yeah, I just don't see you. All right, I'm putting this on Facebook. And we already have some viewers here on Zoom, Nick.
Can you see us?
I couldn't just a second ago. Right now I'm just getting us onto Facebook. Share in a group. We are going to the Sisters Enchanted group. The Sisters Enchanted. Okay.
I added that.
And let's see here. So we're going to have to get this going. So those of you that are here watching on Zoom, there you are. I see you guys.
Okay.
Yeah. For some reason, you still look black in the little box. I don't know why, but anyway, I see you.
Wrong one.
I don't know. I've got to. Hey everyone, we're just getting situated. So, oh, I'm viewing your screen. Why am I viewing your screen? No, I don't see you guys. Original size. Hold on. What is happening? We're just getting situated. I don't think that you guys can see Nick. Is anybody here on Zoom? Can anybody let me know if you can see Nick? Anybody?
You cannot start your video because the host has stopped it.
Oh, that's weird. Let me see here if I can get it to start. We want to, you know what I gotta do, Nick? I gotta make you the host real quick. Oh, Courtney can see them. Let me see on Facebook. Let me look at the Facebook video, because if it's on, then we're just gonna leave it as it is without messing around with things, so we can get started. Get my
to see where
do you see comments?
Yeah, where are the comments?
I can read them to you, so you guys can.
Oh, there you go. I see them.
Oh, okay. So we see that some people can see it. The Facebook one is a little bit of delay on Facebook. So right now on Facebook, well, anyway, no, you should be able to see by now. Facebook can still just see me though. All right, guys, give us 1 second. I'm going to make Nick the host here. And then, Nick, I'm going to make you the host. And then I think you have to make me back the host or something like that. And then you should be able to, can you turn on your camera now?
Yes.
Okay. And for some reason, I don't know why it's,
Okay, I made you the host again.
Okay. All right, so people on Zoom can see you guys. People on Facebook cannot see you. And I don't, or no, am I watching the wrong thing? I'm watching the wrong thing, that's why. You guys, don't worry about us. Don't worry about me unable to navigate the internet.
Is our mic, can you hear the fan from our mic?
No, I think you're good.
Okay.
My hair is blowing in the fan breeze.
Glorious.
You're good. All right, let me see here. Where are we? Not on Facebook though.
I don't know where to look. I always don't know where to look. I know it's up there.
Well,
but it's
if you want to look at them, if you want to look at the notes, you want to look at the mic.
Let me just see what's happening here. Why aren't we? We're not showing up on Facebook, I don't think. Alan, do you have your phone there? Sorry, Zoom people. We're just getting situated. It's not showing up for me. And I don't know why.
I see your posts, but I don't see the video.
Yeah, it says it's live streaming to Facebook right now, so.
Although I don't know if am I in that class?
Yeah, it's just in the group. That's why I got confused. I was seeing a live stream for myself before and thought it was this live one. Let me see if I can stop the live stream and let's start again. If not, then you guys could possibly just hook up your phone. Let me see if it'll let me do it again. We want to share it to a group, and then if not, then you guys can, well, actually, I don't know that one works. Let's just try this one more time. Thank you, Zoom people, for being patient. It's just 5:01, so we're just taking an extra minute here. If you're watching on Zoom, and you're probably one of our new followers from Instagram, so welcome. Oh, here we go. Go live. I skipped a step, that's why it didn't work. My bad. So who do we have here? If you guys, and those of you on Zoom, you can let us know who you are and where you're from in the comments. We can get to know you. I feel like we know our Facebook followers pretty well. But all right, we think we're good. We're on the Facebook.
Hello.
The book of face. Turn off my volume. All right, so hi Jessica and Shay over on Facebook. And let's see, who's here with us on Zoom today? Sam from Massachusetts. Oh, Sam, we are in Connecticut. We're not too far from you. So welcome. Sonoma County just added the free class found through School of Witchery. Oh, awesome, cool. April from Boston. Hi, April from Boston. We have a Sisters Enchanted thing we're doing in Salem, and not too far from you, in a couple of months. Las Vegas, welcome. And hi, everybody over on Facebook. We're saying hi to the Zoom people, too. We've got some folks on Zoom and some people, and everybody on Facebook, lots of our regular Facebook followers. So hello, everybody on Facebook. Sweden on Facebook, originally from Maine and Atlanta. Awesome. More Vegas. Lots of Vegas people here. My husband's like, let's go to Vegas. And I'm like, I don't know about that. He likes to gamble and I don't. So I don't know. Okay, so welcome everybody to our free class. This is the first time we've done this class. So those of you who don't know us, I'm up here. You guys are basically seeing Anna and Nick right now. They've got let me see if I can change it to, I don't know if I can.
Well, we can see you in the corner.
Yeah, usually it switches back and forth to like who's talking, but it's not at the moment. So that's okay though.
Yes, we just started.
So I'm up here. Those of you on Facebook, I'm in the little corner for you. But I am Sarah. I am one of the founders here at the Sisters Enchanted, along with my sister Anna, who is in the video. Big screen, and she's sitting there with Nick. They are two astrologers, both of them. They've been studying astrology for like 8 to 9 years so far, and they study locally here under a lovely woman in the area who teaches all kinds of awesome stuff. So here at the Sisters Enchanted, we created the Sisters Enchanted 2 years ago now. This is the first time we've done a free astrology class. We have classes on all sorts of things, from tarot and chakras to everyday magic to the moon, runes, all kinds of amazing stuff. And we do have an astrology class, but this is the first time we've done a free astrology class. So we're pretty excited to kick this off. It's usually me doing the free classes. So this is the first time, too. We have Nick and Anna joining in on the fun. So here at the Sisters Enchanted, we created this community to make magic mainstream, which really just means things like astrology and working with your energy and, whatever cool thing you're into, taking any stigma away and just letting you do you and be awesome. So we like to say that we create community for enchanted sisters all over the world to come together and create their own magical lives. And that's what we're doing here. So we have people in our community of all ages, stages, phases, belief systems. As long as you are a nice person, you're welcome here with us at the Sisters Enchanted. So this is how this week is going to go down. We have 4 free live videos like this for you lined up. And they are, hello from Minnesota. We have, they're going to be at 5:00 p.m. Eastern time. We're on the East Coast of the U.S. Today, Tuesday, we're skipping Wednesday. Wednesday is your relaxing day. So on Wednesday, you can relax. And we have the summer and winter solstice, depending where you are in the world, coming up. So maybe you can, prepare for that on Wednesday and just take some time. Thursday we'll be back, and then Friday at 5 p.m. each day for these. If you're in the Facebook group, we have threads pinned to the announcement section at the top of the group where you can ask questions and share. If you're not in the Facebook group, that's totally cool. You don't have to be in the Facebook group, but we'll just be here for you live on the Zoom chats. Also, we did send an email that has a printable for you today. We'll have those for you each day of the free class, different printables. If you missed your email for any reason, first thing, check your spam folder because they tend to go there. So just search the Sisters Enchanted in your spam folder. Also, if you signed up for the class but never confirmed your email address, you should have had an email that said, thanks for subscribing, click here to confirm. If you didn't do that, then you might not be getting the emails. So you'll have to search for that email and confirm. I know it's kind of a pain in the tush, but it's really to protect you from spam and stuff like that. So it's a pain, but it's a good thing. And if you ever have any questions, you can always email us at magic, MAGIC, at thesistersenchanted.com. And we usually get back to you within 48 hours is our goal. All right, so now that all of that is out of the way, let me just see the Facebook comments real quick here. Yes, Andrea, today is day one. Day one, we're talking sun signs. So, like I said, we have Anna and we have Nick, both astrologers that have been studying for 8 to 9 years, somewhere in there. And both super knowledgeable. The way they talk about astrology is pretty cool. Nick is really he's kind of like your structure science philosophy guy, and Anna is more intuitive. So Anna's also an avid tarot card reader and really uses that ability, that intuitive ability that she has to intuitively read astrology as well. So it's kind of, if you're familiar with tarot or anything, how we have structural meanings in the cards, but then you use your own intuition. Anna's like that with astrology. So it's pretty cool that we have Nick and Anna coming together here for this class. All right, so today we're talking sun signs. So do you guys want to just kick us off and tell us the good stuff, and I'll just interject with comments, or if I'm like, hey, let's talk a little more about that, I'll interrupt you. Otherwise, go on with your bad selves.
So the sun sign is typically what people understand as their zodiac sign. People confuse it as saying, I'm an Aries, I'm a Taurus, because it's what represents the ego in us, right? Our center of our personality. It's our creative self. It's where we get our spirit from, right? So whatever sign it appears in your birth chart, that's where we kind of associate the center of ourselves with. And a couple key words for it are I will or I create, because you're willing the outside world to kind of match how that feels on the inside, or what zodiac sign it's represented by. So, for instance, somebody that's in Aries, with a sun in Aries, their creative force comes from that need for independence and excitement and action. So, they, sorry, I just got a phone call. So they try to create environments around them that allow that to happen, right? So they are more people that are out and adventuring and wanting to gain that sort of independence. Sorry,
I was distracted by the phone call.
I'm sorry about that. So it's the part of us that says me, right? I am an Aries. I am a Taurus. It represents our vitality and our energy levels, because when those energies are blocked in that way, when an Aries isn't given the independence and the freedom it needs, it's bogged down. It feels like, what is the point? I can't be who I want to be. And so that's why it's representative of our vitality, because by gaining that sort of independence, we're able to gain back our energy and our vitality and our life and our spirit, for creating what we want to create in life.
I know you're just using Aries as an example, but as a person married to an Aries, I totally understand what you're talking about.
I was going to say too, so your sun sign, so that's the kind of the sign that everybody knows about, when you're born, that you're born this month and you're the sign. And when it comes to the sun, and Nick was saying that it's the ego, we want to say too that the sun sign is almost like what we really at our core aspire to be. So everything revolves around the sun in the planetary system. Yeah. So, when your sun sign is at, when you strive your whole life to really personify what your sun sign is. So a lot of people in life might struggle and think that they're not like their sign, but in reality, every day as you grow and you mature and you balance out those ego kind of centered problems. We aspire to be what our sun sign is. So it kind of has that energy about it that like we really want to be what that is. Absolutely. Because that's the brightest point of our
so all of these
being,
planets in the chart also have different meanings to our personality. And the sun, if you think about it in a realistic kind of sense of what the sun actually does, it gives light to all of these other planets in the solar system. So in that way, if you aren't kind of behaving in a way that your sun sign acts and says that you should be, you know, to kind of give you that vitality, it's kind of like putting a big block in the light to the other planets, and kind of makes it, you know, it makes the other planets kind of not act in the way that they should be as well, right? So if you're not behaving the way that your sign says, then maybe you're not giving enough energy to the other parts of your life as well.
So I have a question for you guys. So the sun is typically like kind of a really masculine, you know, super masculine energy. Is that why that our sun sign is really like our, like, fair to say, our ego and what we're putting out in the world around us and what we really want to, like the world we want to create around us? Is it fair to say that's because of that, the masculinity of the sun, like that's such a push factor, and why we say like I'm a Sagittarius, I'm an Aries, and why we use that as our I am thing rather than like our moon sign or our like any other planet sign?
Absolutely. If the light from the sun never stops shining, it never stops beating on all of the other, you know, aspects of your life. So in that way, yeah, absolutely. It's always trying to create an environment around it that it can, you know, that can help it aspire to be what it wants to be. In Vedic astrology, it's actually considered a malefic planet. There's benefic planets, which are really good acting natured planets, and malefic planets, which are kind of darker, harsher planets. And in Vedic, it's a malefic planet because of that sense of always needing to be that way, and it makes it very hard for the sun to be that way. In Western astrology, it's a little different. It's kind of a more neutral kind of planet, but yeah, that's why they say somebody who's acting very egotistically is trying to manipulate the world around it all of the time. And when you can kind of, you know, figure out where the energy is coming from, it makes it a lot easier to use. And
and so I just want to make sure everybody knows, people that have no idea what we're talking about, Western astrology is what we're pretty much talking about. Well, it is what we're talking about. When we say I am a Sagittarius, I'm an Aries, I'm a this, I'm a that, this is really Western astrology that we are talking about. So Vedic astrology that Nick mentioned, it's like a whole other ball of wax. And actually, whatever you are in Western astrology, there's like a pretty good chance, more often than not, right, that you're not that thing in Vedic astrology.
It all depends on how far along in the sign that you are. So like Anna goes back from being a Virgo to being a Leo, whereas like I'm an older Aquarius in Western astrology. So in Vedic astrology, I'm still an Aquarius.
Right.
That's what was interesting.
Yeah, I shift too. I forget. I think Scorpio. I shift in Vedic.
I was going to say too, even though I know we're focusing on sun for today, that you were saying the sun being very masculine. So like the sun, your sun sign, like you want to be seen that way. So like I'm a Virgo, so I want people to see me as dependable and reliable and grounded. And that is kind of a masculine thing. Whereas the moon, we would correlate as the feminine counterpart kind of that. And so that is a more subconscious thing, because people don't want to be seen as their emotional self. Like people don't want to be seen as I emotionally need to be held, or I emotionally need to withdraw. And people don't like to wear that on their sleeve. So we have the feminine aspect, that's the moon, that's inside, that people don't want to see that weak, that people don't want people to see that kind of, I'm going to say weak, but that's not the greatest word, but that kind of tender side. Whereas the masculine, the sun, like you want people to see you. The sun is like, I want you to see me this way.
I mean, most of those fire signs, I believe, are all masculine signs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. So they all carry that drive to kind of exert their will and their force on other people.
That's cute. We call it sun signs, star signs in Australia.
Yeah, I do. I see that. Well, I'm in a lot of like different Facebook communities with a lot of people from Australia, which is really interesting. I don't know I like must vicariously through you want to live there in Australia. But yeah, I see that all the time. My star sign is. So we had, it's not really a question, but a cool thing. I don't know if you guys are following the Facebook comments, but Natasha had mentioned that she, I forget where, I can't find it now, but that she only like feels like she relates to half of her sign, which is for those of you in the Facebook group, I put in the group, it's pinned in the announcements section, a thread for your sun sign. And it says, what's your sun sign and how do you feel like you relate to your sun sign and how don't you relate to your sun sign? And the reason we put that in there is because we have, and we're going to talk tomorrow about moon signs and Thursday about your rising sign, but we have all these different pieces to our astrological puzzle that come together to make us who we are. And we so often identify ourselves as our sun sign only, but there's so much else happening. So if you're in the Facebook group, that thread is there so you can participate on it and just like chat with each other and give some feedback for sure. Like, this is where I relate to my sun sign and this is where I don't relate to my sun sign.
Well, there's so much more to your personality. The sun sign is just kind of a subconscious reactive force, driving force. Whereas like there's your mind, there's your what you try to attract to you, there's what you desire, there's your maturity level, there's the way you perceive everything. And that's in an encompassing way, that is your personality, because your personality is a measurement of your character, which is a measurement of your morality almost, and how you make choices in life.
So we have some comments and stuff coming through that would be interesting. So we are going to try to focus today on sun sign stuff, but we'll touch on other things as needed. So this is a question I think that could go to any sign. So Nadia is saying that she's had 2 different sources say 2 different moon signs for me. So my first thing is, well, firstly, like, were they both looking at the same kind of astrology like we talked about before? And then there's other factors that go into that as well. So I don't know if Nick or Anna, you guys want to say, like, how could that have been possible at 2 different sources or giving her 2 different?
So there's a couple of different things. It's like what you were just saying. There's Vedic astrology, there's Western astrology, there's Chinese astrology, there's all sorts of different Celtic astrology, all sorts of different ways to look at the chart and to measure out the different houses and different planetary systems. But there's also, in Western astrology alone, there's like 4 or 5 different ways that they also measure out the different systems. So it's all about which way that you are looking at it. And I believe that we use the Placidius tropical measurement for our class, for our Western astrology class. That's the way that we were taught to do. So that's a possibility. It's also a possibility if you were born right on that cusp that
somebody might read it one way and somebody might read it another way.
Right. And, I have never seen, somebody that kind of goes both ways like that. But
yeah. So Nadia, we
have to make sure that when somebody like provides you with a chart, that you double check the information to make sure that like the time and the place is right. Cause it's really easy to mess that up, to like type in birth information wrong or backwards.
Just sending the emails of those birth charts. I've done that.
Yeah. Nick and Anna do a whole bunch of birth charts for one of the classes that we run. And they're like, well, no, we said the wrong one. So you can, what was I going to say before I was going to say something? You can look your birth chart up online for free if you just Google free birth chart, you can find all different sites and put in your information and it should list for you what your signs are. But there is also, there's a software that astrologers use that Anna and Nick use that shows you like all the stars and asteroids and like all this craziness that doesn't show up on those free ones, but your moon sign, all the big planets that we can see to the naked eye theoretically are on a free birth chart. So Nadia, I would just put it in yourself and see what shows up, because everyone that I've ever looked at online that's free have always given me the same information. It's never fluctuated. So Sandy's saying that, so your sun sign is technically the month and day. I was born on August 22nd, so I've always considered myself a Leo. Never knew there was more to it. You guys want, so your sun sign, this is something interesting that's not really, it doesn't have a whole lot to do with just sun signs, but the sun, the reason that you can basically look at a month and a day for a sun sign and know what sign you fall into is because it doesn't change zodiac signs that often. It takes like that whole almost month-long cycle, right, to move. Some planets like the moon are moving through the zodiac really quickly. So the moon, you need your exact time of birth and date and location to know what your moon sign is and these other fast moving planets. But yeah, the sun, it's like pretty generally speaking, right, guys? If you know the time, like if you know the date, your sun sign's not gonna.
And it's also like sometimes the days change from like the 21st to the 22nd or as early as the 20th I've seen. But as far as like what you're saying, definitely, I mean, the sun doesn't change sign until it hits that point, and it takes a whole month for that to happen. So
yeah, and she's and so Sandy's also asking for good resources. So this class is a really good place to start, learning information for sure. Let's see here. So Brandy, hi Brandy. Brandy's one of our always followers. So Brandy the Sagittarius, she's in her 30s and has outgrown half of my sun sign traits. Do you guys want to speak to that?
You've outgrown half of your sun sign traits. Well, as you go through life, there's what's called progressions, and you can do a progression chart. And what basically that says is how you have gone through those traits in your lifetime. So if you were born early on in say Taurus, like if you were born at the beginning of Taurus, you are going to go through your whole life learning all of those Taurus traits. And by the end of it, you are supposed to be like a Taurus master, right? If you're born more towards the end of being a Taurus, then throughout your life, you're learning how to be, because you've already mastered it, say in a previous life, you're learning how to be less Taurus-like and more Gemini-like. So you may grow into the sign that is the next oncoming sign.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which would make sense. So Shay, I think you're asking a link for free birth. If you just Google free birth chart, there's astrostyle.com, astrolabe, LABE.com. People like, and a whole bunch of them. So Natasha wants a reading. Natasha, you can email Anna or just tag her in the group, and she'll let you know what services they got going on there. Let's see here. So online, so Nadia's saying online it said Gemini, and in a witchcraft magazine it said Libra. So Nadia, I'm not the astrologer here, but I would say to go by whatever your natal chart says, because whoever's writing that article, firstly, we don't know anything about them. Like, are they just like Googling stuff and writing it down, or do they? We just don't know. And that would maybe be like one of those general things that like maybe you were born on that like a leap year or something, and where your time and date are going to be really important. I just like throwing ideas out there, but I would go by whatever your birth chart says in that case, Nadia. So Rachel, they do readings, or we're not doing them. It takes them a while. So it's not something they just do like live on the fly, but you can definitely message them or email them or tag them. Yeah, don't send a private message on Facebook. We get so many, we don't read them. Andrea links up a free birth chart. Jen loves your kimono, Anna. So let's see, Chris is a cusper. Do you guys want to talk about what a cusp is?
A cusp is the end of a sign, beginning of the next sign. So if you're born on a cusp, like I was saying before, you're born towards the end of one sign, and throughout your life, you're going to learn how to adapt to the traits of the next sign.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the cusp would be like a day or two in between, like when one sign changes into the next sign. Yeah.
So Pamela is asking a really interesting question, and I'll share like my story around this, and then you guys can talk about it. I just, like to hear myself talk, apparently. So Pamela says that she was born on December 18th, but she was meant to be born, or was, thought to be born, or would be born January 10th. So she feels she has both Sagittarius and Capricorn. I know a lot of things are from birth. I did not know that. So what happens with that then? So I think this is what you're asking. My first child was born, I went into labor, and like all this stuff happened. And so after her birth, there wasn't a doctor within a driving distance of me that would allow me to try for a vaginal birth. So I had to have a C-section. And I was like, one of the things I was like, oh no, my baby won't be able to choose his birth. And I was so, it just really upset me for some reason, like probably some irrational new mom thing where I was like, no, it's going to destroy him forever. Even though I was a C-section baby, my sister was, for some reason, I was like, this is not okay. And so anyway, Nick explained to me this really good explanation, right? And he really talked me down off the ledge. And he was like, listen, everything is happening, some universal purpose, right? And you're still choosing your time of birth. Like your kid, whatever is happening for a reason. And these times of birth, you know, it's still happening for a reason. So in some weird way, right, it's probably choosing. So yeah, I think that you could certainly feel both energies for a variety of reasons. But somebody asked this question earlier in this group, I think too, was like, someone's baby was born premature. Would that change their astrology chart? Like, should they go with when they should have been born versus when they were born? And so I like Nick.
Me and Nick are both like, no. No, I mean, like Sarah said, everything happens for a reason. Like, there is a reason why that C-section happened at that time and why the doctor called up and called that time. Like, there is a reason, you know, there's a reason.
That baby chose you and you chose that time. There's a reason.
This was a reason.
Yeah.
And I bet that even if you looked at, like, so say you were somebody who had to have a scheduled C-section, like for Sarah, for instance, for her second child, as long as I'm not overstepping Sarah's boundaries, I don't think I am. But
I had very few boundaries.
Scheduled C-section because she had to. But then her son decided that it was time to come early, so she didn't have that scheduled C-section. But I bet if we pulled up the chart for the day that Adam was actually born, and then we looked up a chart for Sarah's scheduled C-section, we would be able to see Adam and who he is in the chart of when he was actually born and not see things about Adam in the scheduled C-section time. So
I was looking up Jacob about 10 hours before.
like refresh every minute, refresh.
Yeah, Anna was in labor for like ever.
But you have to, you know, trust that everything happens for a reason, and just because the universe threw a curveball at you or your mom or whatever, that curveball was destined for the glove at that time in that moment.
And then to also touch upon why you might feel more Capricorn-like.
Sarah has boundaries.
So many things that that in your chart that could give you that Capricorn energy, right? Saturn itself is the planet of Capricorn, so maybe there's a strong Saturn in your chart,
right?
Or maybe you were born with the sun in the 10th house, which is also the home house of Capricorn, which we would figure out in the class.
Yeah, there's like so much information that goes in your birth chart. So Michelle is saying that she's at the very end of Aries, and as she's aged, has learned to control that, and it's tempered. Moon in Leo and rising Aquarius. Michelle, you give me hope. Maybe as my husband ages, he'll settle some of that Aries down. Although I'm a Sagittarius, so I shouldn't speak because I'm like, that's the pot calling the kettle black over here. Let's see here. So Sobi says that I was told that I'm 10 to 15 degrees Sagittarius. I need to learn how to be a true Sagittarius on this lifetime. What does that mean? So 10 to 15 degrees Sagittarius, and what does it mean to be like?
Yeah.
So what does that mean? Firstly, that you're 10 to 15 degrees something? Is that like where is that?
30 degrees in each sign, right? So that means that you're born right in the middle of being Sagittarius. If you were born at 10 degrees Sagittarius, you're gonna have a little bit. The thing is where you're born, it's like where you are. It's what you are. It's who you are. So to say that if you were born, say, at 15 degrees Sagittarius, I wouldn't say it's as much learning to be that way as much as you are that way, and having to learn the lessons that come with being just very Sagittarius-like, which is, you know, outwardly kind of
creative driven.
Yeah, creative driven.
Goal oriented.
Yeah, but it's also being like a large personality, right? Somebody that's very energetic and
So I would say, just as an interjection, that I don't know that anybody has to learn to be any certain thing in a lifetime, right? It's like you're doing what you do. You learn it or you don't learn it. Yeah. And then what will happen next happens next. But yeah, it's if you're closer to that beginning though, you're in the newer, like the beginning of that. So Carol Ann is asking, if you're born on the cusp, which sign do you read? The one you fall under or the one you feel is most like you?
Again, it's all about you read which one you fall under, but again, it's understanding that there's going to be lessons in your life that are the end of a sign is kind of like being like the for tarot, like the hermit, right? Like you've you've mastered everything and now no.
No, finish your thought.
Because I don't know tarot that well. So.
Well, finish your thought, and I'll
like
say
you've mastered it, and now like that's who you are. Like you are a master of that sign, and now you're stepping into kind of learning the lessons for the next sign. You know, so I would always read your personality kind of assessment as being that sign, and then the lessons that you're going to end up learning. Maybe you'll learn more about the next sign.
From a like technological standpoint, pull up your chart, and if it says you're that sun sign, take that as your sun sign, but know that, you know, we're, you know, not confined to the definitions of who we are, and to take a little bit of both and apply it to your life. But whatever your sun falls apart on that day in your chart, that's what you were born under, and that would be your sun sign.
What would be the tarot card?
Yeah, for sure. So we have the
world, like, and then restarting over again with the Fool.
Oh, maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Is that what you were saying?
Anyway, sorry.
I'm going to interrupt you too. We have a question too about timing. So can you guys speak to, Anna and I talked about this last week on our Monday Magic Chat, but can you guys speak to knowing your birth time and how important that is, and why you can still, because we are talking about sun signs today. So now we're answering kind of a lot of questions, but and how that's relevant to your sun sign, your birth, why you need a birth time, and why you can pretty well guess your sun sign still without a birth time, which may be, you know, now that I'm saying it, like a reason why we identify also here, like in our modern day and age, so strongly with our sun sign, because it's that like masculine ego thing, how we're trying to create our world, but also like you can know your sun sign without knowing your birth time, you know? So yeah, so you guys want?
You can literally type in like astrological sign for, you know, this date, and it'll tell you what sign you are, which is your sun sign. So like any like horoscope, when you go and you check your horoscope and it says like, if you're born between this day and this date, you are this, that is your sun sign. So that is, it just is what it is. So you can look that up anywhere. Just, it's like following your horoscope, whatever it says that you are, that's what you are. As far as needing like your exact birth times, is because the rising sign sets the tone for the entirety of your chart, and your rising sign changes I think
it's every 3 minutes
or something like that.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about rising signs more on Thursday too. So if you're all like, oh man, what's my rising sign? We're going to talk about that.
But like that changes the entire layout of your chart. And so needing your birth time will show you where everything else kind of falls. And when we talk about the rising sign, we'll talk about how important that is to who you are. But a sun sign, whether you know your birth time or not, you can literally just like whatever you've been reading as your horoscope your whole life pretty much, because it'll tell you what time, like where you fall, like what zodiac sign is yours. Just like it's just like how easy it is to find out what birthstone is yours, because it's the same thing, spectrum, how you look it up.
Yeah, so for those of you, we have some comments coming through, people who don't have their birth time. So there's different planets, like, you know, that move really slowly and ones that move really fast. So without your birth time, you know, there's very few planets where you can be like, this is definitely accurate to me.
You're missing your core.
Only the moon, though. Only the moon is really going to change sign, you know, day to day. So really the signs that your planets are in aren't going to change that much. It's going to be the houses and how it's all laid out and how it's actually what it actually means to you. So somebody born, you know, at 12 noon on you know, in say Georgia is going to be a different person than somebody born in that same hospital at 12 midnight in Georgia.
Right.
So it's going to be a different personality, a whole different person.
Right.
So that's why
if you can do what you can do to track down your birth time, that's awesome. Otherwise, like if you can like maybe conjecture like morning or night, you know, there's maybe some puzzle pieces you can put together there. Let's look at some of the Zoom questions for a second, and then I'll get back to the Facebook ones. So I'm an Aquarius, January 24th. What would my degree be? So to find out your degree, you've got to pull a birth chart for yourself. So go to one of the free birth chart websites, and it should show you on there that information, and you'd have to look at it and see where it is. Let's see here. Can you explain if there's a different characteristic of signs that are different month. So like if you are a November Sagittarius versus a December Sagittarius, like is that?
Yeah, I think that's what I read that question. I think that's what they're talking about. And
That's
again,
a fascinating question.
It goes to being born at the beginning of the sign versus being in the middle of the sign. So really, as far as month to month goes, I mean, there's no real direct kind of meaning behind the month that you're born. It's just about how far along in the sign that you're born. So somebody born at the beginning of, what was it, Pisces, is going to, or was it Aquarius? Was the question Aquarius? It was Pisces.
I thought it was, I don't know.
Or was it,
I thought it was Sagittarius.
But somebody born at the beginning of Sagittarius is going to need to, is going to learn more lessons about, gaining more understanding and perspective in life. And then somebody born in the middle of Sagittarius is born with understanding and perception and kind of learning the lessons that come along with that.
Yeah. So let's see, I'm a Scorpio. I've heard about different paths those traits can take, such as an eagle for the evolved Scorpio and a snake for the negative, resentful Scorpio. So I think those are just different, like, spiritual ways of looking. And I think when we look at astrology, people, you can find all different associations that people link to it based on different paths, right? And like different belief systems. But in terms of like your core Western astrology, I don't know that is like a thing that's in core Western astrology.
I would say that strangely for the Scorpio sign, there are more symbols, I feel like, for the Scorpio sign than there are for a lot of the other signs. So there is like the eagle or phoenix, and the snake and the scorpion. I don't know if I've ever read it as being the more negative aspect of the other. I would say that
it's all about a part of the transition of transformation with Scorpio.
So the snake's always shedding its skin. So it's not the snake's not being negative. The snake's always growing. It's always shedding a layer so that it can do something else and then shed again. Just like the phoenix, it's always, coming back and having another rebirth to try again. So, and I would say too that anybody that worries about the overly negative aspects of their sign and the overly positive ones, like there's really no overtly negative or overtly positive.
It's all about learning lessons in life
and balancing
it. Choices,
yeah.
All right, so let's see. So Sandy pulled her birth chart and wants to know how to interpret it. So Sandy, depending what website you used, you might find information on the site. So I like using astrostyle.com, maybe because it's two sisters that run it, and I just like happen to really like doing things with my own sister. But if you on that site, they give you blurbs about it. But to have somebody like really interpret it, I mean, with you, you would need to do that with an astrologer, or like figure it out yourself, or do something like Astro Style and read about the blurbs. So Melissa is asking about your sun and rising signs being opposite. We're going to talk about that on Friday. So Friday, we're going to talk about how this all comes together, the sun sign, the moon sign, and the rising sign to make you. So Nadia was asking, embracing the positive attributes and moving away from the negative. So Anna just talked about that. Anna, your intuition was hitting strong on that one. Let's see. Azelle wants to become an evolved Aries. Well, I would just look at yourself and just say, self, like what stuff's holding me back? What's not helping me here? And then like work on. Yeah.
And two, this is I guess this is kind of like something to speak to that, and just stop me if I'm getting ahead of myself. But if you don't read the rest of your chart sometimes too, and somebody's like, and I'm going to say as an Aries, because there was one time that I had done a reading for an Aries, and she had thought that her whole life she was just impatient, and she had these like random times where she would get angry. But we had looked into her chart and realized that actually she had a Virgo moon in a placement that we noted that when her like house isn't cleaned and she comes home and she falls over things, that makes her angry. And it wasn't actually her Aries that was making her angry. And I remember her writing back to me, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. This whole time I thought that I was an angry Aries, when in reality I have a pesky Virgo moon that really needed to be emotionally clean.
Anger comes from a place of like when you have expectations that your energy is going to be put into something, and the expectations aren't met, then anger kind of builds up and arises. And so just being an angry Aries doesn't necessarily mean that way, but maybe that you're not just allowed to be the person that you want to be in the environment that you're in.
Right. And there are other factors that are always happening. So
Yeah. So April was asking about the time difference. It's the time you were actually born, April, and then like that could impact things in your chart. Well, Sobi, is that your real name, Sobi? So Sobi Live. How does birth time, day versus night, affect sun sign? So the sun is the slower moving thing. So like if you were born at like 5 a.m. and the sun's in Cancer, it's most likely still in Cancer at 5 p.m., right? Like unless it's like a whole new day.
It's just going to depend on, where the sun is in your chart as far as house goes.
Right. It'll still be, if it's 5 a.m. or 5 p.m., the sun's going to still be the same sign.
Yeah. Let's see here. I'm trying to see things we haven't already kind of touched on. So April's asking, is there that much difference in a 45-minute time period? It could be with the moon. Your moon definitely could be.
I don't know if it changes sign every 3 minutes as far as the rising sign goes, but I do think that it changes degree every 3 minutes and then 30 degrees. So like every hour and a half, I believe it changes sign.
Yeah. And so, like if you could be born, this is what Anna and I talked about this last Monday. We were talking about common astrology myths. And so one of the things we talked about was like, if you don't know your time of birth, but you know you were born on Tuesday, whatever date, and you know you were born in the morning. So you could look up where the moon was in terms of sign and see that the moon was in Cancer that morning or something and maybe go with it. You could kind of guesstimate. But if you were like, I don't know, I was born sometime on Tuesday, and on Tuesday the moon went from one sign to the next, then you don't really know which sign your moon was in. But if the moon had just switched into Cancer and was on Cancer all day that day, then you're probably like, okay, I'm a Cancer moon. I just don't know exactly like what degree or whatever, but I know it's in that day. So that's, if you can research and kind of like put some puzzle pieces together. And so we have the question here, I'm 4 degrees Aquarius. So what does that mean? And 2, I want to caution, and Anna and Nick will say this, and this is what we'll talk about Friday, putting all this together. So you're so much more than a 4 degrees Aquarius, right? That's just like, it's like looking at connect the dot and looking at the first 3 dots. Like there's still the whole rest of the picture there.
Right. So something I could add on to that is that the 4 degrees Aquarius thing. So you were born more towards the earlier portion of Aquarius. So in a past life, as far as what Anna and I have learned, that you might have been more Capricorn-like, right? And so Capricorn's very strict and regimented and mature and responsible. And Aquarius, well, they want to get away from that. They want to break free from that responsibility and meet their dreams and not just work for them. So in this life, you have come into this life wanting to gain those things, but not really wanting to put the work in for it. So over time, you're going to have to learn the responsibility and maturity that Aquarius kind of needs to gain in order to succeed and meet your dreams.
Right. And so, and like what Nick's saying, like in 2, there's all these other pieces though also. So it's like, like that's like the first 3 dots.
Astrology works heavily in like past lives and stuff and like cyclical things. So we might say past lives a lot, and that is a common thing in astrology.
So we have a question on the location of your birth. That's super important because of time changes, and right?
Just as important as the time. I'd say more important than the time.
Yeah, well, because we have different time like changes. Like if the and then like daylight savings time did happen or didn't happen or happened some places and not others. And a good birth chart software should account for all of that, which is why you want to know. Let's see here. So Melissa's saying, if you are born towards the end of Pisces, does that mean you've learned most of the lessons of the zodiac? That's a good question. But that said, though, it's kind of like, it's like if you do read tarot, it's like the fool's journey just starts all over again.
Exactly.
Right. You just get you get another lesson to learn.
Some tidbits through all of the other ones, but it doesn't necessarily
that's kind
mean
of what Pisces is in general. Yeah. It's kind of, gone through that whole cycle, and now it's just being spiritual and letting go and being part of the group. But that's also, in a way that's not healthy if that's all that you rely on. There needs to be a little independence. So in this life, if you're born a Pisces, you're learning to let go so that in your next life you can be you and gain more of that independence and
Yeah. So is it Kalina? My mom knows I was born between 5 and 6, so she's always said 5:30. Should I stick with that idea?
I would again say do your best to find a birth certificate with a time on it. I think in the years that Nick and I have been doing astrology, we've only ever found one person that for some reason could not get a time or could not get a birth certificate, or no, that their birth certificate literally didn't have a time on it. And it was just like something weird to that like town or that like
there was when we did the class, there was somebody that like I think that you're maybe it's that person, but we allowed them to use their daughter, and learn about their daughter's cycles and their use their daughter's chart to learn astrology, which is
and
cool.
Like we said before, if you really want to dive, I mean, you could look at just like where everything was that day, and like you could pull different charts for this time and this time and be like, oh, this paints a really good picture of me. Or you could try to like really dive into this deep hole of investigative work there. So Jennifer Joe says second person because she doesn't have her time. Rachel, you need your birthplace, not where you grew up, your actual birthplace. So your actual birthplace. So sun signs, let's just bring it back to this real quick. In the printable that we gave you, and Nick, I'm just going to look at our class notes real quick too to see if there was anything we really wanted to talk about.
Look and get the signs.
I don't know if we need to go through all of them so much, but the keywords for the sun, and you have keywords in your email. We printed you out, or we gave you a printable with keyword sheets. But the I will create, with your sun sign, it's that idea that everything revolves around your sun sign. The part of you that says me, it's your vitality, your energy levels, gives light to everything around you. The center of us, really, it's a thing everybody sees, just like the physical hot sun. Everything created is reflecting the energy of this because it's your ego. It's your will to exert yourself in the world, how you want your physical world to operate. And giving space for your ego to create what it desires. So we have a whole list for you that we sent out in the email, which if you didn't receive it, check your spam folder and make sure you hit confirm that you wanted to receive the emails, because that would be the other reason you didn't get an email. But there's a whole bunch of like I am statements, I create statements, and things like that for you to explore. Anything you guys want to, let's see here. So Carol's asking, hey, Carol. Carol's one of my good internet friends. Would 2 minutes be a big change in a chart? When she ran her spirograph, she calls it, I entered 207 when it was marked as 209.
I don't think it's going to be huge. It's not going to make or break it. Unless you're born on like a super 2-minute difference cusp, and
right at the moment of change.
Right at the moment of change, yeah.
Yeah, and even still, it's not going to make a huge difference.
But what you could do too is that, like, if you are 2 minutes unsure and you think it's 207, but it could have been 209, you could also run a chart for 207 and then run a chart for 209 and just see the differences yourself and see if you are one of those special cases that something just shifted at that time and see if it makes a big difference. So if you're not sure, you could always incrementally look and kind of see how big of a difference it makes, because sometimes it'll make a big difference and sometimes it won't.
Oh, so Sandy's got all these people in her family. They're all born at 19s, 219, 619, 1019. I don't know if there's any astrological thread there. Maybe a spiritual thread for you guys worth exploring. Jennifer is massively frustrating to her that she can't figure out her time.
That's a lot of 1s and 9s, a lot of 10s, and 10s are cycles coming together, yeah.
Alicia doesn't know the exact time her son was born because the nurses and doctors forgot to look. And Natasha just knows she was born at 12:44, but doesn't know if it was night or morning. So maybe your parents would remember.
Yeah.
So Adeline is telling us she was born at 12:44 p.m. We must know each other. She's got you back. So anything else about sun signs, Nick or Anna, that you want to mention that we didn't mention? So we talked about so much stuff. Your sun sign is your ego. It's like trying to create the world you want to live in. But we also learned today there's so much more to you than your sun sign, and even in your sun sign, there's so many fine details that go into that. And you can look up your sun sign online at any free birth chart software that you have. We do have a thread in the Facebook group if you're in there. It's pinned in the announcements section. There's a thread for you to write your sun sign and where you feel like it relates to you and doesn't relate to you. So that's really just something for you to kind of self-reflect. And participate in that, because those of you that are in the Facebook group, Anna and Nick are going to pick one lucky person who participates in the threads this week to win a reading with them. So make sure you participate in those threads.
Oh,
and
that's some news. That's some special news.
It's on the sign-up page, y'all. And then also in the announcement section is a thread for just general astrology commentary. So what we did this week, if you're in the Facebook group, we made it so that admins have to approve posts this week. And the only reason that we did that was because we didn't want to get like 100 posts a day where we're like, these are my things. Can somebody interpret them for me? Because one, that's not really super useful to just have strangers that you don't know who knows what, whose background is what. That's really not useful for you to just put it in there and say, can somebody interpret it? You're better off just looking it up on a free chart yourself and then reading into that information. So it's one of the reasons that we did that. And also, so that we can really keep the group focused on the astrology this week. So there is a thread in the announcement sections for general comments and feedback. So if you're like, hey, I looked up my chart and I see I have like everything is fire signs. I don't have anything but fire signs, which I think would be crazy and I don't know, probably not possible. But if you, as a weird example, you could put that. You could put that in that thread, and then we can check back there, and that's like a good place to have these discussions. So we keep it all organized this week. So there's those 2 threads for you in Facebook group. And so over on Zoom, Courtney's saying she wants to make sure she gets approved. Yeah, Nikki, who is our magical support person, I think she was at her Muggle job today. So she goes through. She's our sorting hat, we call her. She goes through, as long as you answered the question that you're for the free astrology class, she lets everybody in who answers the question. And if you get declined for some reason.
No, I really like that.
and write that in there. But yes, our sorting hat is at her Muggle job. We get hundreds of requests a day, so it's quite a job. Like we actually have somebody whose like main job really is just letting people in the group. So we do have those 2 threads in the announcement section. And again, if you post in the group and you write, this is my information, can somebody interpret it, we're probably not going to post it. And the reason only is because it really doesn't serve you in any way to have, there's 11,000 people in the group, right? We don't need 100 people with different opinions telling you what you should do. It's just going to confuse you. Look it up at one of the free charts, and then if you have questions, let us know, because there's nothing worse than when you get 100 different opinions and then you're like, wait, now what do I do? 100 people told me different things. So yeah, any last thoughts, you two, on sun signs for everybody?
I would just say that it's like if we were, a dictionary and your name was in the dictionary, that your sun sign would be maybe like one of your keywords. It would be like,
I like that.
Yeah, that it would be like something that at your core defines you in some way, maybe more than some other things, because it's literally the way that you want people to see you. Like Nick's Aquarius, he wants people to see him as having expansive thoughts and being like widely available to help people and all that kind of stuff. And I'm a Virgo, like I said, I want people
work together.
Can't we all just get along? And I'm a Virgo. I want to be seen as structured and together and at least solid in some sort. And Sarah is a Sagittarius, and she wants to be seen as creative and exciting, and like she's got, so much things to create, and she's got determination and drive. So like we want to be seen this way at our core. This is how we want people to look at us and say, wow, what a really intellectual person that was, or wow, what a really stable, comforting person that was.
I am intellectual.
The ego is the sun, so we want to be seen that way. And it's not even that we want to be seen that way, it's that we need to be seen that way, because that is our ego. And even though the word ego gets a bad rap, there is a healthy amount of ego that we all need to embody in our lives, and that people need to feed into, and we need to feed into ourselves to really come into ourself. So yeah.
We're going to talk more. I see Courtney on Zoom has a question about how the sun sign and the ascendant, or the rising sign, I should say, clash, which we're going to definitely talk more about that. But I will say that Virgo and Sagittarius are what they call square, and those are two clashing signs. Those definitely have a hard time working together. There's lots of challenges there. So.
Virgo and Sagittarius.
Yeah.
Hi, Sarah.
Oh.
Yeah, Anna's a Virgo, and I'm a Sagittarius, and not only
Yeah,
are we
square.
but we're best friends.
You know what I say to that? It's hip to be square. That's right. I just did that.
I agree. It's hip to be square, especially if your best friend's a Virgo and you're a Sagittarius, and she happens to be your sister. It's extra hip to be square if you're an enchanted sister. All right, so let's see here. Olivia's asking when the recording is going to be available. I'm going to send it out overnight tonight with your email for tomorrow. So that will be in the email. And Stephanie, she's a Sagittarius. Her sister's a Virgo too. See, it's hip. We said it was hip to be square.
And you know what squares?
So I guess that's it. If you're in the Facebook group, the threads are. I see. Do you guys see Anna and Nick's kid in the corner there poking his head out?
I didn't even see him. I'm glad.
Hey, Jacob. Okay, so there's the threads in the announcement section in the Facebook group if you guys want to participate. And again, remember, we are moderating the post this week. So if we don't publish your post, it's nothing personal. We're just trying to keep 11,000 people on like one flowy page during this week. That's all there is to it. So, all right. Cool, guys. So that's it. We will see you tomorrow at the same time. Anna won't be with us tomorrow. If anybody's local in Connecticut, our friend Julie is speaking at a store in Old Saybrook about flower essences and essential oils tomorrow. And Anna will be there with Julie for that. So if you're in Connecticut and you're like, hey, I want to drive to the shoreline and hang out with Anna and Julie and talk flower essences and essential oils, go hang out with them. So Anna will be doing that tomorrow while Nick and I are waxing poetic about moon signs for you. And I teach a moon class here at Sisters Enchanted, so it's the perfect day for Anna to miss if she's going to miss a day.
Perfect. A little tease at that moon sign. I'm sorry.
All right, you guys. We're going to jet. Time for me to put some little ones to bed, and looks like Jacob needs some hugs, too. Hey, buddy.
We need some food.
Yeah, everybody needs some nourishment. All right, you guys. We'll see everybody tomorrow for tomorrow's chat. The Zoom link for tomorrow's chat, for those of you on Zoom, will be emailed out tonight, along with the recording of this. If you're in the Facebook group, we'll see you all there tomorrow. Yeah, Anna and Nick's place is so amazing. I love it. All right, you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for being here. Get out there and make your rest of your night an enchanted one. And we'll see you tomorrow, same time, 5 p.m. Eastern.
Say bye to Star for me.
I'll say bye to everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.